Morning. It's always amazing, when people ask me, what do you do? I tell them I talk. I'm a teacher. And it's always difficult when you give a teacher 20 minutes to talk. I don't know how we're going to do that, but we would try our best. And as Don has said, we start in time and finish in time. Well, we just want to tell our story, business and engineering, a recipe for industry, innovation, and competitiveness. As many of you know, at times, necessity is the mother of invention. After COVID, many universities, struggling with enrollment, with budget, and we were not, immune from that as well at Wilkes University. So we were also challenged at that particular time, and we decided that it's time for us to look at our programs and see how can we be much more efficient and effective. And the university decided that they're going to merge 6 colleges into 3 and make sure that those 3 colleges, are merged in a very symbiotic, not a parasitic way. And that is how we came about with the business and engineering. So when I was called that, I will change my hat from being a dean of a well-established business school to becoming the dean of the College of Business and Engineering. I don't even know how to change a light bulb. Talk about engineering. I'm a business person. So how do I merge business and engineering? And that is when we started realizing the opportunities that unveiled, for us at Wilkes University. How do you put business and engineering together? And we quickly realized that we've been doing that already. We've been functioning, together thanks to Kirby Center, that Rodney used to lead before he left, because at that particular time, Rodney was able to make sure that business and engineering, when they have scholars, working together, granted that the different programs, but they're still finding a way to, collaborate. So I'm just going to give you the genesis, of the amalgamation of business and engineering at Wilkes University. And believe it or not, it started June 1st last year. We knew about it in May, and we had to quickly gather together and put those 2 units together. So it involves splitting and merging. And we want to make sure that it's not an acquisition, but a merger, so that one unit, does not dominate the other. We want to make sure we work together symbiotically. So previously, we had the College of Science and Engineering, and those 2 had to split. The sciences has to move into the College of Arts and Humanities, and engineering come into the business school. We had the mechanical, electrical, environmental, and civil engineering, coming to the business school that has marketing, accounting, finance, hospitality, sport management, and leadership. So how do we put those 2 together? So we have to look at the portfolio and reshuffle the portfolio, making sure that the programs that are no longer, are value-adding, we try to eliminate those programs and making sure we focus on the program that will be able to create, innovation and entrepreneurship within Wilkes University. So engineering merging with business, and be mindful that we also have the Air Force ROTC, with the engineering as well, and that also has to come, to the business school. So we decided to call it the College of Business and Engineering, merging them together. So mechanical and electrical engineering that were separate before, so we realized that they need to merge the mechanical and electrical engineering and having a department chair, running those 2. And remember that those 2 programs, they are highly accredited by two major accreditation body. The engineering is ABET accredited, and the business school is going for the AACSB accreditation. So quality has to be job number one for those two programs when we're bringing them together. And the goal of that is to make sure, as I promise our students, that when you graduate from our program, you should be able to compete with any graduate of any university within the United States. And that dictates the quality of the program that we are bringing together. So we retain the civil and environmental engineering, that has already been, together before coming. So how do we get all of this going? I'm a business person. I have no clue about engineering. I've always looked at those engineering as those folks, that, I don't know how they operate. So how do I function in order to lead the two units? So the first action is to look for an associate dean. And that associate dean has to come from engineering. So I made sure I spoke with my colleagues in the business school that, yes, we're going to be looking for associate dean, but I want you to be mindful that we're not going to be having a business individual to serve as associate dean. It's going to be from the engineering, so we have to do an internal search. And I was so pleased and happy that Dr. Baddour became the associate dean for the College of Business and Engineering, as my, partner, and you're going to be hearing from her as well, So with that being said, we already have the School of Business, but we don't have School of Engineering. We have departments within the engineering. So our next action is to find a way to create a School of Engineering, which eventually came up, later in our thinking of putting all of those together. So that involves union of an organization. How do we come together as two separate organizations? How do we form? How do we norm? How do we storm? And how do we adjourn? So all the first three happen within 6 months. The storming, obviously you having intellectuals from those two units coming together, and there are two different cultures, coming together, and how did they form a norm when there are a lot of discontent, especially from the engineering, coming into the business school, but we were able to do all of those seamlessly and having them together. So physical location was also an issue. Remember, we have laboratories in engineering and sciences. So how do we split those laboratories so that some of them goes to the science unit and some of them come to the engineering? So those are some of the things that we have to work out, in creating those. In the business school, we had Dean Executive Advisory Board that comprised of CEOs of businesses that advise the dean of what goes on in the business world. Now that we merge the two, we have to also look for, engineers, who can also be in the advisory board. So we went out, to recruit a lot of engineers who are also entrepreneurs, and now we form, we rename it from the Sidhu School Dean Executive Advisory Board to the College of Business and Engineering, Dean Executive Advisory Board, and those advisory board are also, high, ranking advisory board that are advising the dean. So we renamed that, and also we used to have the Student Advisory Board, a student who advised the dean of what goes on within the student organization. So we merged that as well and create the College of Business and Engineering Student Advisory Board, to bring all of those together. So, and with all of that, we have to think about the centers, that we currently work with. Now we creating the Entrepreneurship and Innovation Center, that merge the business and engineering from ideation of, from the engineering section into bringing those ideas into the marketplace from the business perspective. And those are some of the things that we were able to put together. So the ROTC, coming to the program and also making sure that those are entrepreneurial thinking as well. So those are some of the things that we were able to come together. So the thing is that we have to find a new center. What I mean by center, I don't mean by different center. In other words, the center of gravity for business and engineering to make sure that they can function, together. And we have already been seeing the, aftermath of that. And you're going to be hearing, from Michael Blockson, at 2 o'clock when he's going to be talking about Nebula and also how we are able to collaborate with his organization, bringing, aerospace, to NEBDA, northeastern Pennsylvania. And those are some of the advantages when you merge business and engineering. It attracts, private enterprise to realize that is one shop, stop, whereby when engineering students are thinking of different ideas, then I remember one time when the engineering were doing their Capstones project. Very fantastic project. Then after they presented, I said, what is next? And the engineering student looked at me and said, that's it. I said, well, that is not it, because there's something called taking those products into the marketplace. And that is where the business, come into place. And now that we merge, the business and engineering, so those engineering students, they realize that that is not the end of their, presentation, that they can move into the business, section to, that amalgamation. So that is pretty much the story, and there's a lot of, moving parts. But we were so fortunate, because of the caliber of the faculty that we have. They are all, nationally acclaimed faculty, both in the engineering and business section, and we make sure that we form, a unified committee, between the business and engineering. And now it makes it easier for our students, to know that they belong, within the College of Business and Engineering. And because of the shortness of the time, I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Baddour to give you a little bit of the operational side of the story of merging the business and engineering together.
Thank you, Abel. And good morning, everybody. So a little bit on the operational side, and I'll talk a little bit about engineering first. We have some industrial advisory councils. So for each department that Abel mentioned, the mechanical and electrical engineering department and the civil and environmental engineering department, we have these environmental advisory councils where they help us basically improve ourselves, give us feedback on what we're doing, what is out there that we need to know about, how can our students be competitive, help with internships, for example. So some of our industrial members are actually in the audience today from one of our departments, so thank you for being here. And one of the ideas actually that came up from one of our industrial advisory councils was the idea of a first ever engineering open house. And this occurred last February, and it was extremely successful, an open house with even an industrial panel. So this synergy with our IACs and our departments and the college has been very, very successful in helping us with our transition. On the subject of firsts, there's another first that I could mention, is a College of Business and Engineering career fair. Is something that we are working on, again, kind of with this merger, and we're hoping to have this, actually, the date is September 26th. And this came also from industry feedback. The idea that some members of industry told us that a more focused career and internship fair would be more beneficial to better connect with our students instead of having a university-wide, which will still occur. The university-wide will still happen, but we'll also, in addition, have this very specific career and internship fair. So with all these firsts and talking about industry, As you can see, we're really trying to align ourselves with industry. So as much collaboration as we can, hearing what industry needs, working on internship programs. We have a specific program that we're working on right now, actually with Mountain Productions, on an internship pipeline where they are looking specifically for sophomore students coming out of Wilkes to work with them and trying to keep really the talent that is here locally once they graduate from Wilkes, and to help them join local companies and keep that talent. So that's something that the college is really looking to work with industries. One more, I know I'm checking my time, I think I'm slowly running out of time, but one more thing I do want to add that Abel mentioned was our senior projects, that we have extremely strong senior projects right now in engineering, whether the students are creating the projects themselves, the ideas, or they're industry sponsored. These are projects that they're working on from the design stage to the prototyping to the testing. And one of our vision that we would like to try to implement in the future is to then involve perhaps some business students with these engineering projects to help bring that business perspective. So like Abel had mentioned, sometimes the project is a design and then what's next? So the business side could help with that. So that kind of sums up my comments a little bit on operations. Abel, was there anything else we want to add or open to questions? Open to questions? Yeah.
John Polo, Keystone College. I'm a graduate of the University of Pennsylvania's Executive Master in Technology Management program, which was co-sponsored by the Wharton School and the School of Engineering and Applied Science. So I really applaud what you're doing from a programmatic perspective, and I just wondered if one of the outcomes of what you're trying to accomplish by merging two schools together would be to have some kind of a program, a degree offering that would fundamentally merge those two disciplines.
One thing we quickly let our students know is that it doesn't change their degrees. The engineers going to still have their engineering degree. The merging is to help, the student who, because one of the things we heard from many engineers is that they wish this was in existence when they were a student, so that they know the accounting and the marketing and the management, so that when they form their own engineering firm, they don't have to be, deficient in the business knowledge. And the same thing for the business student, to know that when they're thinking about, accounting and management and marketing, that has implication, for the engineering, also. So it doesn't change the degree, that they are having. The only difference is that, it will improve the engineering management, or the leadership of engineering or management of engineering, so that when we have that graduate program that we currently have, that will really, encourage more students to start looking at the management of engineering.
Abel, thank you for this. I just want to give a note. My name's Mike. This is fantastic. I love what you're doing from industry. If you look in technology everywhere, the reason technology is doing what it's doing is because of convergence. It isn't just engineering. It isn't just financial. It isn't just this. I mean, look at all our relationships, husband, wife. I mean, there's very dynamic systems going on, CEO, co-founders. The fact that this is happening is extremely encouraging to me from an industry perspective. And I've always believed, even before I knew Wilkes University existed, before I bought that building, that if you had the cure for cancer, nobody knows about it, nobody gets cured, right? So you could be a scientist with a cure for cancer, but if you don't have a marketing partner or a business partner to be able to get that to the world, no one will get cured. And that's been a fundamental belief of mine for a long time. So I am extremely encouraged from industry that you guys are doing this, and I would hope that anyone else in academic that's here would start looking at how do they support the ability to think differently, and not necessarily what to think in the curriculum, but how to think by doing these types of mergers. So thank you for what you've done.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. Interestingly, we thought it would be an issue for our accrediting, bodies. But when they came to the campus, the AACSB and the Abel, they were all, amazed, and they were thinking that those are some of the things they're going to be talking to other institutions to start thinking and adopting, especially in the 21st century.
Hi, John Butchko, also from industry, and one of the things that I found when you get a four-year engineering degree, you exit the university and you go out into the job market. Even if you have an internship, there's always a lack of how do things work in industry, and there is always a need. As soon as you get into any kind of industry as an engineer, you find out you have to have a budget, you have to make money, you have to know how to scope a project as well, and get human resources as well as physical resources. Also, having a business degree, I learned there's a lot of folks out there that don't know how to, say, purchase. If you're in purchasing and you have to buy a technical product, there's a lot of technical information you have to understand. So there's also crossover between the two.
Exactly.
I was wondering if you're looking at having maybe a minor in one or the other, or some type of certificate, something like that, where you could focus somebody in that area if they're interested, say, in whether it be the logistics of or purchasing with a technical area where they want to get into technical purchasing, say for the aerospace industry, electronics industry, somewhere where you have to have actual knowledge and make sure you understand the products and the items you're buying at a very technical degree, instead of just looking at the price and what you're looking for.
Very good recommendation, and we're going to put that to heart. There's something else that we try to do, that we've been doing in the business school, which is the personal and professional development, because that is one thing that, employers always credit our students for. And now that we've merged the business and engineering, we realize that our engineering students also need those soft skills. How do they develop themselves personally and professionally so that when they get to the employers, they know how to sell themselves, even though they may be engineering students. So those are some of the things that we are also looking into. Even with our sport, management program, now we have e-sport, program at our university, and we're realizing that, the digital, marketing and digital imaging and all of those is coming together, with the business and engineering. The same thing with our, Air Force ROTC. So all of those things are coming together in the interest of our students, so that when they graduate, they will be very, very much marketable, in the industry.
Thank you for all the questions. That's going to conclude this session. And we'll hear from Stephanie Decker next.
Thank you.